Hey, Team Avatar, this is Captain Yeet here for you with another Avatar The Last Airbender episode review. This is going to be Avatar The Last Airbender Season 1, Episode 8, titled Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku Redo. So, let's get into it. So, the beginning of this episode starts off with the theme song, a little bit of recap for the past few episodes. You know how we do. And after that, we go over to Aang. Now, Aang is trying to tell Appa to hurry up and get into the sky so they can fly to the Fire Temple. Because last week we saw that Aang had a vision from Avatar Roku's dragon that he needs to talk to Roku about some sort of comet coming towards Earth. He doesn't understand it, but if he goes to the temple, the Fire Nation temple, well, not like the main temple where Ozai lived, but a Fire Nation temple in the Fire Nation, he can talk to a statue to talk to him about the vision. But it's obviously in Fire Nation territory, so that's pretty bad. He's trying to tell Appa to hurry up and fly into the sky because he has to talk to him before the winter solstice ends, which is tomorrow. But Appa isn't trying to fly. He wants to wait for Katara and Sokka. Now, Aang is trying to explain to him that I can't bring Katara and Sokka with me because if anything ever happens to them, he can never forgive himself. Katara goes, I mean, sorry, not Katara. Sokka goes, hey, I think he's trying to tell you you can't go by yourself. He doesn't really want to bring them to, and I really like this one scene. Because Katara goes, Aang, please, you can't go into the Fire Nation. The world can't risk losing the Avatar, and I can't risk to lose you either. That was sweet. I know Aang was feeling really happy. His heart was pumping. Obviously, he's not really trying to think about that. He has to still go talk to Roku, but I know he's feeling happy. I know he was really, really happy when she said that. But anyway, after some convincing, Katara and Sokka are going to tag along. Now, the leader of this village gives them some supplies and tells them, hey, that temple you need to go to is super deep into Fire Nation territory and it's really far away from where we are. So you're going to have to really book it to catch not the comet, to catch the winter solstice before it ends. And Aang starts to say thank you, but yells at him to go, so they start to fly away. Now, after they fly away, we see like a little time jump. It's still nighttime though. And then Zuko comes in and asks the leader, hey, where is the Avatar? Then we go over to Aang, and he's flying towards what would a not what a I keep wanting to say comet. He's flying towards where the temple is. I don't know why I keep wanting to say comet. But while he's flying, there's a big problem. What's the problem? Well, number one, Zuko is right behind them, right on their tails. And number two, is a huge blockade right in front of them. And at first I was like, what in the world is a blockade? But it's a bunch of these Fire Nation boats just sailing back and forth, making like a wall basically, so no one can come in or come out. I mean, then we go over to Zuko. Now, Uncle Aro is yelling at Zuko to turn around because he's a banished prince right now. He's not allowed to go into any Fire Nation territory while he's banished, and he's about to do that chasing the Avatar. Now, Zuko does tell Uncle Aro, Uncle, I'm chasing the Avatar. My father will understand. He goes, whoa. You're giving my brother way too much credit. He is not going to understand at all. He doesn't care if you're chasing the Avatar. He's going to lock you up. I know I'm a general. I'm the brother of the Fire Lord, but even I can't do anything if he catches you in Fire Nation territory. But he's not trying to hear all that. He just wants to capture the Avatar so he can get his honor back. And then he starts to shoot some fireballs at Aang. Now, while this is happening, General Zhao, he's specifically the one commanding all the boats making the blockade in front of Aang, and he's about to start throwing some fireballs at Aang too. So now he got fireballs behind him and in front of him. And then Katara noticed this, and obviously this is a really, really bad situation. Like it's going from bad to worse. Like this is getting so ridiculous. But I mean, they have to get to the temple. There's nothing they can do. So they just keep on flying forward. Now, while this is happening, Commander Zhao, oh no, sorry, I do want to bring up this one joke. I thought it was kind of funny, where Uncle Aro he tells Zuko, "Hey Zuko, bring Zuko. We're technically still inside of Earth Kingdom water, so if we turn around right now, we won't get in trouble." And then Zuko looks at him and goes, "Full steam ahead." He was not trying to hear any of that. Anyway, Commander Zhao he tells his men to start shooting fireballs at Aang. Now, some of his men didn't really want to because they see the Fire Nation boat which Zuko was driving behind Aang, so they could possibly hit him, but he doesn't care because he's a traitor. So now Aang has to dodge fireballs in front of him and behind him. One fireball does hit Zuko's boat and it starts to puff out a lot of smoke because the engines are messed up, but Zuko still tells his men to keep going forward, so that's what they do. So Aang, he's dodging fireballs, bobbing and weaving. He has to like really be careful. It gets to the point to where like these like two fireballs sort of clash into each other, and it hits Appa. It doesn't take him down, but you can tell he's hurt. So Aang starts to fly even higher into the sky, but it doesn't really help too much because since he's so high up, everything he sees is clouds. And then the fireballs are coming out of nowhere in the clouds because he can't see where they're getting shot from. So now he has to even bob and weave even harder. Then we get like a really tense moment because Sokka falls off of Appa. So now Aang has to bob and weave, fly super fast to grab Sokka. He's able to grab him. Thank goodness he's able to grab him, but that was so close. But then right before they're able to get through the blockade, they shoot a fireball directly right in front of Appa's face. Aang jumps off of Appa, kicks the air, and shoots out a huge stream of air, and it destroys the fireball, which I was like, I guess that can work because the huge rock that's on fire, I guess it's like weaker because it's on fire. I don't know, but it's a cool scene. I'm not complaining, but I was like, I wonder how he did that because he can't earthbend, but he just destroyed that giant rock with just air. That's not normally how it's supposed to happen, but that was cool though. But they're able to fly past the blockade. Now Zuko, he's sailing past the blockade and he's about to get crushed by two boats. Before that happens, Commander Zhao tells them to cut the engines and let them pass. They're like, what? Let them pass. So they let him pass. Obviously, Zuko and Uncle Iroh are very confused of why in the world did he let him pass. Zuko, he knows that Zuko's on the boat. He knows he's not allowed in Five Nation territory because he's a banished prince. Even he didn't care. Even if he wasn't banished, I think he would have still shot at him because he does not like Zuko at all. But yeah, obviously Zuko and Uncle Iroh are really confused. Like, what in the world? What? Why? Why do you let us do that? Even Uncle Iroh was like stroking his beard, like, I don't know what's happening here, but we have to keep an eye on him. Like this, really fishy situation going on. So anyway, after that, we get like a little montage of more time and time passing by. And after that happened, we go over to them getting to the temple. Now they park Opera off to the side so he doesn't get caught. Opera's really tired, so he lays down, tries to go to sleep. Katara goes, "Oh, big baby, you're really tired, aren't you?" Not trying to make fun of him, but he's tired. And Sokka starts to stretch. He goes, "Nope, I'm ready and primed to fight some Fire Nation." I'm talking to Appa. Oh, I was I was talking to Momo. I wasn't talking to you. Anyway, they get inside the Fire Nation temple, and there's nobody inside. They're really confused about this. But then the bunks of these old men pop up behind them. Now, they specifically say that they are the Fire Sages, and they are meant to not protect the Avatar, but serve the Avatar. Aang's like, oh, okay, well, well, that's great. I'm the Avatar. We know. And then they start to attack him. Obviously, Aang is really confused because they just say they serve the Avatar, but hey, it doesn't matter. We have to get away. So Aang shoots a huge gust of air. They all fall down, and then they all start to run away. And they're all looking for them too. So Aang tells Sokka and Katara to follow him. They go, oh, hell, you know where we're going? No, we have to go somewhere. They keep running around, and eventually they run into another fire sage, but he specifically says, hey, I'm not here to fight. I want to help you. Obviously, they're not. They're not trying to believe this guy, but he gets on his hands and knees and bows to him. He says, I only want to serve the Avatar. They're still kind of iffy on him because, this is a fire sage. It could be a trick, but he opens up a secret passage, and then we hear the other fire sages come in, so they kind of have no choice. They gotta trust this guy, so they go inside the secret passage, and then the door closes. So I guess we're just stuck with him now. Here's a face where they're like, I don't know. Show me the Carfax. I don't know about you, but I mean, hey, they have to do something. They're kind of lost in this place. Then we go back over to Zuko, and he's talking to Uncle Iroh, and he goes, "Why in the world does Zhao let us pass?" Now he goes, Zuko, you're going straight towards the Avatar. He doesn't know where the Avatar is going, but you do, so he's gonna follow you. And Zuko's boat is puffing out a lot of smoke because the engines are messed up. And Zuko says if he wants to follow a trail of smoke, then I'm gonna let him. Then we go over to the trader and Team Avatar inside of these caves underground of the temple. Now the trader specifically says that the fire sages are always meant to serve the Avatar. And after the last Avatar died, Roku, they were waiting for the next one, but he just never showed up. Aang starts to feel really bad because they were waiting for him. And Sokka says, "Hey, Aang, don't sweat it, man. You're only late by 100 years." Anyway, eventually, since the Avatar never showed up, his grandfather that knew Roku and all the other fire sages for the past 100 years, they were forced into working with the Fire Nation. They never wanted to. They're supposed to be working for the Avatar. And he always wanted to work for the Avatar too. And he knew the Avatar returned back in episode 2, because when Avatar stayed at the Air Temple, remember all the statues of all the other temples started to glow? So he knew the Avatar was going to return here someday, and here he is. So now he wants nothing else to do but to help out Aang. Obviously, Aang says thank you. They're able to get towards the gigantic door that leads to the Roku statue, but there's a problem. The door is closed. It's not supposed to be closed because there's only two ways to open up the door. Way number one is for a fully realized avatar to open it up, or number two, five Fire Nation, well, not Fire Nation, but five Fire Benders shooting fire into the mouths of the dragon because there's like five dragon faces on the door, and the mouths are open. They're supposed to shoot fire into each one of them, but there's only one firebender here. But Sokka says he has an idea. We go back over to Zuko really quick, and Zuko has a little mini boat, so he's gonna sail in the mini boat to where Aang is, and he's gonna have Uncle Iroh sail the actual boat with the smoke, like somewhere else to throw them off the trail. Zhao looks at the boat smoke, and he starts to think to himself. Then we go back over to Aang's group. Now, Sokka makes, they're not specifically gunpowder, but basically gunpowder bags. He puts them in all the mouths of the dragon. The trader, he lights them all up. Actually, I didn't even show him. I should probably show the trader. He has an actual name too. I'm sorry about that. But he puts them into the mouths of the dragon. He lights them all up. They all explode. But then nothing happens. And obviously everybody's like, what? What's going on? That sort of worked. It looks so impressive. It looked basically like firebending. Here's what the trader looks like. He has an actual name. I'm sorry. I kind of forget the actual name, but this is what the trader looks like. I guess you could go into the trader, but he has an actual name. Before I end the video, I'm gonna try to actually let me make sure I get the pause on, and then I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up, or I'll just rewind the episode when he says his name. 'Cause I forgot his name. I'm not gonna lie. But they're really confused with what they're going to do because the door didn't open. But then Katara says, wait a second, Sokka, you're a genius. Aang is like, how is he a genius? His plan didn't even work. Sokka, let her dream, let her dream. I like the sound of genius. Anyway, she goes, no, it looked like it worked, right? So then we jump cut to all the other sages running into this room, and the trader goes, guys, look, the Avatar, he's inside. How in the world did he get inside? He doesn't know, but look, there's a bunch of scorch marks on the doors, and look at the shadow inside the room. They're like, oh no, come on, help us open the door. They shoot fire inside the door, and the door opens up, and it's just Momo. Momo climbed through the pipes to get inside of the room, and then Sokka, Katara, and the trader all hold back the sages, and then Aang has to run inside of the door before it closes, but Aang's not moving. He's specifically hiding behind a pillar, but he's not moving. They're like, Aang, what are you doing? Hurry up. But then Zuko appears out of nowhere and has Aang and holding both his arms. And the door starts to close. Zuko's going to take Aang downstairs, but Aang's able to get out of his grasp, run over to the door, jumps inside, and the door closes. Now, Zuko and the rest of the sages do shoot fire inside the dragon's mouths again, but the door doesn't open. And one of the sages specifically say that it must be Avatar Roku. He doesn't want us inside. So then we go over to Aang. He's kind of confused because he's inside. The light is touching the statue, but nothing's happening. Then the statue's eyes start to glow when the light hits the face, and then a bunch of smoke fills up the room, and he goes and sees Avatar Roku face to face. He goes, hello, Aang. It's so good to see you. It is what Avatar Roku looks like alive, because when we see him, he's alive. Now, we did see him in that little flashback scene riding the dragon, but that was like for 2 seconds last week. But here's what he looks like, all well and juvenile, while talking to Aang. And all the Aang is like, oh my goodness, Riku. He's really surprised seeing Roku here. So then after that, Zhao, he comes into the temple and he arrests everybody and chains up Katara and Sokka and starts to chain up Zuko too. Now Zuko specifically tells, oh yeah, and the traitor. Now Zuko tells him you're too late. The Avatar is already inside of the door and you can't open it. Zhao's like, it's no matter. He's gonna have to come out eventually. Now I thought he was going to say that, he's gonna have to come out when the solstice is done because Roku was only really here when the light is touching him during the solstice. Eventually, the sun is going to go completely down into nighttime. Then the light is not going to be touching the statues. I thought he'll have to wait till that's over, but no, he just says he has to come out eventually. And whenever he does, we're going to light him up. So that's what he's waiting for. Then we go back over to Zuko, not Zuko, sorry. We go back over to Aang and Roku talking. Now, Roku specifically tells Aang that I need to tell you about the vision that my dragon showed you about the comet. What is it? 100 years ago, Fire Lord Sozin used this comet to empower himself and all the other firebenders to land a devastating strike to start the war. So that means the comet, whenever it passes by Earth, it empowers all firebenders to get a huge power boost. And yes, this power boost is ridiculous. It kind of rivals the Avatar. That's a huge power boost all Fire Nation people get. Well, not Fire Nation, but firebenders get. It's kind of ridiculous. But anyway, He specifically said, no, Aang goes, okay, but what does that mean? That was 100 years ago. What does that have to do with me? That's the problem. The comet is gonna come back. It only shows up around Earth after 100 years, and it's been 100 years. So when it passed by Earth again, Fire Lord Ozai is going to use that comet to power boost himself up and all the other firebenders. Well, I keep saying he's going to use it. He's not specifically doing anything. When it passed by Earth, all firebenders, regardless of you're good or bad, gets a power boost. It's not like he has to do something specifically to do it. I keep saying it like that, but no, they just get a power boost regardless. But yeah, he's gonna use that comet to get a power boost and land another devastating strike during this war. And when that happens, not even the Avatar is gonna be able to restore balance to the world. So what that means is you have to master all the other three elements and beat Lord Ozai before the end of the summer. Anger's like, what? What? Are you crazy? I don't want to show this one scene because when he starts to explain what Ozai is going to do with the comet whenever it flies by, we get the silhouette of Ozai and he starts to breathe fire out of his mouth. That was pretty cool. I do like this scene, especially the silhouette form makes it look even cooler. Like, I know he's a bad guy, he's bad, but come on, you can't tell me this wasn't cool. Like, that was pretty dope. That was pretty dope. Anyway, oh, sorry, I'm taking the screen. So Aang, obviously, he starts to freak out about this. We do cut over to Zhao telling his men to get ready to blast the door open whenever Aang opens it up. But Aang, he's like, what? How am I supposed to do that? And even Roku, he specifically says in this conversation, usually it takes an avatar, a few years to master all the other elements that they don't know. Aang has to learn all these elements, master them, and be Ozai before the end of the summer. How is he supposed to do this? He tell Aang that everything is going to be okay. He has done it. He has done this kind of thing before, and the camera zooms in on his face, and then it like parallels over to his face because they're reincarnations. I understand that, but the circumstances of Roku learning his, bending versus Aang learning his bending, it's kind of different circumstances, Aang has to kind of learn it fast track so he can beat Ozai. So this is kind of bad. But then Aang tells him, wait a second, Roku, what about I have another question for you? I'm not going to be able to come back to this temple. He goes, you're the Avatar. You will know how to contact me when the time comes. But he tells Aang that there's a lot of evil forces outside this temple. Are you ready for me to help you? Aang says that he's ready, and then his eyes start to glow. He goes into Avatar state. The doors open up, and then all of Zhao's men and Zhao start to shoot a bunch of fire at Aang, and then Aang grabs all the fire, but then it's revealed it's not Aang. It's Avatar Roku. He's sort of like I wouldn't say possessing, but maybe like overlaying his body onto Aang to do this. But he like consumes all the fire that they throw at him and shoot it right back at everybody. It blows down his men backwards and melts the chains off of Zuko and Katara and Sokka. Everybody starts to run away. Then Roku starts to lava bend, which is so cool. But he lava bends the lava underground and starts to destroy the temple. Now the trader is telling them, "Oh, look, we have to go. Roku's about to destroy the temple." Then not leaving without Aang. After he does like a devastating blow to the temple with the lava, Aang falls to the ground and Roku sort of disappears. And then they grab Aang and start to run out of there. Now the temple is sinking and it's sinking fast. They don't know what they're about to do, but the Appa flies by. They jump out of a window, get on top of Appa, and fly away. Now this next scene is so jacked up. So Zhao is really mad because Zuko got away. So he doesn't have Zuko to bring into Fire Lord Ozai. And the traitor he got away. Well, no, I think he actually has a traitor, but he's also mad that he doesn't have Aang. But he goes, all I have with me right now are 5 traitors. Now, one of the sages is like, whoa, hold up, we didn't do it. Only he betrayed us. He's the one that helped the Avatar over here on the side. We didn't do nothing. Zhao goes, shut up. You can tell that to the Fire Lord. What? What? Like they didn't even do nothing to Zhao. That was jacked up, and man, some of the stuff he does later on is ridiculous. But Zhao is sick. That is a sick, sick man. He's gonna lock them up for no reason. They didn't even do nothing. They were helping him. But yeah, Zuko starts to sail away on his boat. Zhao's gonna lock up these innocent men. Well, I mean, they kind of serve the Fire Nation and they're innocent, but they didn't betray nobody today. But in the last scene of the episode, is Aang, Katara, and Sokka all sailing on top of Appa. And Katara and Sokka walk over and hug Aang because he's feeling kind of sad and obviously feeling a lot of pressure that he has to learn all these elements before the end of the summer. And I think they do mention specifically what month it is in like an episode or two. But right now, obviously, we don't really know what month it is. We don't really know what month it is. So it could be really, really soon. It's not that soon, but it's, not that far away. So obviously, Angus has a lot of pressure on him. He already has a lot of pressure because he's the Avatar. But now this, jeez, man. I was gonna just sleep in the iceberg some more, you know? But no, that'd be bad. That'd be bad. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. So, oh no, 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 sorry, I was about to say like saying subscribe. Let me get the name of the trader. Let me get the name of him because I've just calling him the trader the whole time. Him back. His name is Sayu. I had to complain. I was just calling him the trader the whole time, but yeah, his name is Sayu. But that's the episode for you guys today. So, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you all later. Thank you all for watching. I thank you all out there for one human beings, and I see you guys next time. All right, bye bye. Oops, a daisy. I clicked something. Oh no, no, no! Now on the computer. I thought I clicked something bad on the computer. Oh, I thought I clicked the wrong button.